Welcome to the Volunteer Youth Worker Podcast. Youth ministries rise and fall on the volunteers. So we are here to encourage and equip you. Join the conversation as we tackle the practical questions you are asking so you can help the next generation know Jesus.
All right, everybody, I've got Tate with me on this conversation in the middle of the summer, my friend. It's fun for those that, people are listening so they can't actually see. You are not in your house. You're not in an office, I'm guessing. Nope. Is this your office?
This is my office. You can see my sword on the wall and paint up in the shelves.
That's the thing. I'm like, oh yeah, you have a special set of skills. If you've got a bunch of paint on the walls, tell people about where you're at today and what your role currently is.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, my name is Tate. I'm the events leader at Camp Qwanoes, which pretty much means I get to run the games, build the props, and have all the fun, right? You can't beat that job. That's what I do during the summertime. Throughout the rest of the year, I'm a youth pastor in my church in Duncan too.
I love that so much. So people that don't know, Qwanoes is west coast of our country of Canada. So you're on Vancouver Island, and it's a pretty sizable camp. Like if you were to describe it to somebody who has never been or seen it, how would you articulate it?
Good question. I would have to describe it as, you've got your camp ministry, but you times it by 10, and there you go, right? What we do at Camp Qwanoes, you've got archery, sure, but we up it even bigger. You've got your little challenge course stuff, but you're 20 feet in the air. You've got your camper cabins, but there's 400 kids.
Yeah, you guys are at a scale that is different than the camps I grew up going to. It was funny. I was connecting. Actually, my mentor when I was growing up, when I was a high school student, connected me with a camp on Campobello Island in New Brunswick. And there were some weeks where we had 4 campers, and some weeks where it was a big camp and we had 15. But that was my camp experience. So Qwanoes, I know, is at a bit of a different scale, which is fun because this particular question, I love that you think thoughtfully and strategically about games, about activities, about these kinds of things that sit outside of perhaps what people imagine is the core part of what we do as youth workers. And yet the possibilities, I think, as we're going to discover, are pretty wild. So let me just ask it this way. Oh, and people should know you're also a youth pastor.
Yes.
So I guess you said that during the year, yeah, you've got your group in Duncan. Okay, so let me ask this question: why do we have to play these stupid games at our youth group? Have you ever played a game in youth group as growing up or as an adult where you're like, oh yeah, this is a dumb game. I don't know why we're doing it. Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah, I would say so.
What would be the worst one? Like if you thought about the most cringe-worthy game you've ever experienced, does anything come to mind?
Well, this is more cringe on my side, but when I was working at a church up island, we ran a game. I really wanted to run like a food challenge game, and for months the pastors and the other youth pastors like, no, you guys, that time is over. We don't do those kind of games in youth group anymore. But I always saw those games. I wanted to run it. Yeah, we ran that game. It did not go very well. We had kids thrown up in the bathroom. Some of them were sent home because they ate too much wasabi, and that was all my fault. I'm like, what am I even doing? Why am I even running these games?
Okay, yes, that is... kids have to go home early. That is a bad sign. Yes. I think about just lame games, like the amount of youth workers listening, and they can think and come up with so many things where you're just like trying to manufacture energy or excitement because this is so cringeworthy. Yeah. So that's been a lot of our experiences, and that's for lots of people. Have you ever even interacted? Like, have you had team members or youth workers or even parents or students that were like, I just don't understand, why would we even bother with games or activities?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel that really, it's a sad mentality because then it brings the energy down, it brings the enthusiasm, and it's contagious when people do that too. And as soon as you've got leaders saying that, the kids are going to start feeling that too.
Yeah. So, okay, then just even as we get going here, because obviously I think people kind of catch the idea that you're going to say it might be worthwhile to do some games and activities. But give us a heart or a vision. You're giving a chunk of your time in the work that you do and in the ministry that you're at into creating those kinds of experiences. Why do we actually think games, activities, and those kinds of things could be worthwhile and not just a waste of time?
Well, when I've stepping into my events role, kind of looking at the stuff that we do here at Camp Qwanoes, I've had to really buy into what's going on, the vision that they've set here with the people who've ran it before me, and then bringing in my own past experiences, learning from those, and bringing them into Camp Min. I've really grappled with the idea of, okay, games have a reason, they've got a purpose. They're more than just entertain the kids, drain their energy before it's bedtime kind of thing. Which I've heard people say that, hey, run a game that gets our campers tired. And I'm like, oh, there's so much more to it, right? Part of that being, I think that games are huge for building trust with campers, building trust with youth group kids. If you have a shared experience centered around fun, excitement, a place where you can draw kids in that are on the outskirts, all of a sudden you've got this experience that you can leverage for building a relationship. Building a relationship, as we all know, is key to being able to speak into the lives of youth. And that's where you can have the ministry opportunity. That's where you can start to share the gospel, have those deep conversations, things like that. It's not just about the entertainment. The entertainment is absolutely the key tool to building that, right? But it's not the end goal. If you ran it as the end goal, then you'd be missing the point there. But it leads to so much more.
Yeah, that's interesting to even differentiate between, okay, there's an entertaining component to games, but then, there's this deeper purpose for people. Could you give us an example of what kind of game would just be on the pure entertainment side where you're like, oh yeah, this is pretty fluffy. This doesn't actually do any kind of that trust building work. Just so we can kind of have a grid for that. And then obviously I'm going to ask, okay, and then give us a game that is entertaining, but actually has this core purpose at its center. And so we can kind of feel and see the difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. Games that they isolate kids, right? Let's say, all right, you as a single kid, as a single youth group kid, as a single camper, go do this thing over on that side of camp, and then I'll do this thing over on this side of camp, or wherever it might be, kind of those individual things. Obviously, then you're not with your cabin, you're not with your leaders, you're not together doing those things. You want games that draw them together, that make the team work, that even sometimes you're going to have kids looking at each other saying, oh no, I've got to work on this thing together with these people. It adds that challenge, yes, but then you've got that shared experience together.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. So games that isolate are often not as helpful. And even if you put it in the category of entertainment, that's interesting because I think back to my own youth group growing up days. The one game that I was just so devastated that we called it King Walla Walla. And you had to, this is the craziest thing. It was for new people. So if you brought a friend and they were new to our youth group, they played King Walla Walla and they would go up on the stage completely alone and isolated as a brand new person in a new place. Like, come on, what were we thinking? And then they had to replicate and copy somebody across from them, kind of dancing around and making, hoops and hollers and that kind of stuff, and eventually sit in a chair. But the trick is that they would slide a wet sponge onto the chair at the last minute. And so then your new guest would sit down and look like they wet themselves for the rest of the night, which I'm like, oh, what a brutal, there's no community here. This is isolating, as you said. Sure, it's entertainment, quote unquote, but it's at the expense of somebody. Yeah. This is a game that should never, ever, ever exist again in our ministry. But okay, so tell us, when we think about something that can be entertaining, but also carries with it this ability to build trust with our group, what does that look or feel like? What are some examples you've seen that work well?
The best examples would definitely have to be those team groups, team games that we run, right? You've got maybe, especially with our camp being the size it is, you split the groups into their cabin groups. It's a really effective way to do it. And then you say, okay, we've got these challenges. Everyone's competing in their challenges in their own cabins, but you've got your group of 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever the number is, each doing their own thing there. It draws them together. They get to know each other more. We especially run those games at the start of the week too, because we know they do so well at drawing people together. They're fun, they're exciting, they're fast paced, but you're building that connection with each other. And you even center those games around, hey, let's learn more about each other. Let's start to get to know each other already. Day one, breaking the ice with those games there that not isolating, right? There's a time and a place for the entertainment of those games, but you really want to lean into the community building right at the start.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so community-based games. What do you do when you've got like some cabins that aren't initially motivated by the idea of a game or activity? Like I think to, some youth workers that are listening, and maybe they've got like some grade 12 girls that are that really struggle with like, why do we have to do this? Or a newer group that doesn't know each other, and so they're nervous about even being in a group setting, kind of embarrassed or whatnot. How do you inspire the community to still happen for those that are a bit hesitant?
That comes down to the team that you have working with you, right? And the leaders that can buy into it as well. And you got to have everyone on board for it, right? If everyone's there for their own motivation and whatnot, then it's going to be really tough to draw them in for the ministry that's happening. But if they know that, okay, the heart behind why you're running the games is to lead to the ministry opportunities. We're creating this environment for you to be able to use for the campers and the ministry that happens. Then all of a sudden you've got leaders who are bought into it, who are excited and who are drawing them in. And then the energy is contagious, right? The kids see, wow, look at these leaders who are 20, 21, 25, however old, excited into this game that they might consider silly themselves. All of a sudden they're going to be drawn into it too, and that create that intentionality. We always talk about in the staff meetings at camp before doing the camp, where like, hey, these games are for the kids, for the ministry that's happening. Draw them into that, bring them in. And the leaders, they all know they're on the same team with it. They're on the same page. And so you see the kid on the side. I've seen so many leaders, they walk away from the game. Even if they're having fun, they want to be in the game because they know it's for the kids. They walk to the kids on the sideline. They sit with them and they talk to them and they draw them into the game. And yeah, sometimes it takes time. You've got campers, maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days sitting on the sidelines, but I guarantee the majority, if not all, by the end of the week, they are in because it's contagious, like I've said.
Yeah, I love that so much. Okay, so it's worthwhile because we've got the opportunity at building kind of camaraderie. What are some tips or tricks that if you think about, times that you've led a cabin group or that you've led even with your own ministry? So you're talking to like a volunteer small group leader. They're like, okay, I'm going to be excited for this next week and the next, week of games. What would you tell them they can use as like ways to get excited or to encourage the students that are around them? Like what are some of the tools or tactics that you kind of deploy with your own group?
To get the campers excited?
Yeah, to get the campers excited. Like if I'm a group leader with my kids, like I'm excited, sure, but like, are you doing anything to encourage them individually or like rally them, or are you just bribing them? Like, how do you pump up? Like, do you just badmouth the other small group? Like, come on, boys, the grade 6 girls are terrible. Let's destroy them in this next game. Like, what is it that inspires? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sugar. Always sugar. Bribe them with chocolate bars at the end of the line. No.
Wow. Hey, sometimes, yeah.
It is sometimes. It adds excitement. Yeah, it's like I said, I'll keep saying it again and again. There's the theme of the heart behind why you do it. It's the ministry there. And so then you've got your leaders bought into that. They know that they can get in and they can bring the energy with them because of the reason behind it. If you want to get a little more practical, then you could always look for those kids you do see excited about the game. You do see in the middle of it all. And a lot of the time, those kids will often be, I don't know what you'll call them, like a ringleader in their group. There'll be the ones that other kids look at and be like, oh, they're the cool kids. A lot of the time, because the sporty guys especially, they want to show off in the middle with the running games or whatnot. And if you've got those guys in the middle running around, and then maybe you can pick on some of them and say, hey, I know this kid is an intentional kid. Perhaps he's even a group leader. You can use that to the benefit of drawing the others in to get them excited, and even inviting the other kids in because you know that the other kids look up to them.
Yeah, I like that. That's true. It makes me think. I remember now our grade. There was a season where my grade 12 guys and their leader, they loved like just being over the top with things, and so they would actually, we just tasked them with like being the ones to plan the games for our group, and it was so much fun because they would come with war paint and they would explain things really thoughtfully, and like they pumped everybody up. And if somebody wasn't as engaged, they would be like right with them, trying to encourage them and keep them going. And so it was fun to see that being led by the guys that were the oldest in our ministry. Okay, so now let's think about, we've got again people listening like, okay, I kind of get it. So there could be a possibility that games and activities in my ministry can be more thoughtful. It's not a distraction. It's not just entertainment, but there's actually good things that happen here in this kind of relational building, celebration with my students. Now let's talk to the people that are actually planning the games and activities. So like, it's my turn to plan them this week, but I honestly don't even know what to do. Like, I'm Googling stuff and it's weird. Some of them need a lot of supplies. I don't got time to put things together. Help out some youth workers. Tate, if you were, again, and you are a youth worker, they've got a small group. Let's say there's about 25 students. So maybe that's a mid-sized group. And they're trying to come up with something creative that does what you've said, and they don't have a lot of time, money, or resources. What are some of your go-tos that you might suggest are activities that would accomplish these kind of goals?
Finding those resources that are good. I use Grow Games, which is just an app on your phone. Okay. It's filled with different games that you can run on in a minute. Some of them have downloadable slides already there for you. Some of them are a bit more elaborate. Some of them even simpler. It's free and easy to use, and you can upload your own games if you've got good ideas to it too. It's not a sponsorship. I just enjoy using it. And I
like that. We'll link that in the show notes. Grow Games. Perfect. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Using other people's ideas. I mean, I know sometimes I get so excited about the different ideas that I want to run, the activities, the enjoyable things, but other people, they've got great ideas too. Listen to those ideas and even their past experiences that they've seen work for their groups and activities, right? I'm sure there's all these groups with their different volunteer leaders or other stuff like that. And like I mentioned, maybe you don't want to bring back old games for a reason, like the food game. They've served their time. But there can be other great ones too. And of course, you got to look at your group size too. I mean, we look at this all the time for ourselves. There's a ton of games I would love to run here at camp, but because of the number of kids, we can't run it because it doesn't work for that many people. And vice versa for smaller groups, right? There's games, really big games that you can't run, but then you can run smaller games. And especially if it's a smaller group, it means you can have a lot of fun with a lot of simple things. You'd be surprised by how much people enjoy simple concepts, right? And you break any game down, right? Capture the flag, tag, rock, paper, scissors for all it is. There are simple concepts at the foundation of it. And yet these are games people continue to play over and over because you can have a lot of fun with them.
Okay, I like this. Now, you've been piecing together games at the time of recording, this is actually before the summer really kicks into gear. By the time people hear this, it's actually after the summer. So we should actually have maybe a follow-up to find out if any of these pulled off really well. Tell us about some of the big, wild, crazy things you're getting excited for when you think about this summer at camp.
Oh, so many things. This is a fun 2 months right here because we get to plan and brainstorm and build everything. We've got a few of our classic games, like we've got our night game that we do every year. This year we're going super big with it. Last year we built a whole pirate ship that we put on stage every week and it had smoke machines and everything. This year I bought a ton of styrofoam and we're building like a 10-foot tall sphinx that we're carving out of styrofoam with like a tower or like a column of obelisks. So this is our big night game. We made a video for it. We do that to kind of get excitement for the kids. They see the video, they go into the game. It makes it more real and immersive that way for them. We've got, of course, this is fun. You may or may not have seen online, Qwanoes just did a post about one of our games we're doing. It's called Qwanoes MC. This is a Minecraft game that we're doing. Now, I will say we had this idea before the Minecraft movie came out, so we're not just riding on the hype train, but we'll
Hype trains are
the hype train.
not wrong to ride on though. That's pretty
No,
good.
they're not bad. I just want to be original sometimes,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's fun because in 2019, 2020, when COVID happened, we camps were shut down. So what did we do? We actually started a Minecraft server for campers. We rebuilt all of Camp Qwanoes in Minecraft, and we ran wide games in the server. And so then we're reusing a bunch of the footage from that for our promo for this upcoming Minecraft game that we're actually running in person. So a lot of kids are excited about that there.
Okay, yeah. Tell us how that game goes, because this will just spark the idea of like, hey, let's create something that's entertaining, but also has a bigger purpose. What is the Minecraft game? How does it work?
Like I said, sometimes simple is the way to go, and so it's always a revamping of concepts that already exist. This is actually a good key for listeners to build games. If you want to build a good game, take something that works well and add something more to it. So we're rebuilding Capture the Flag, but in Minecraft. So they have to go out, they collect their resources like you would in the video game. You bring them back, you build your house of cardboard, and you make it like, I don't know, this 10-foot tall house out of cardboard before the monsters come at nighttime kind of thing.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, Tate, again, thinking about ministries that are running, this year and just random games. What else comes to mind, or anything that, you're like, oh, I want to make sure that youth workers hear this as they think about all the wild and crazy games, maybe some do nots or some try this or anything else that comes to your mind?
Yeah. Well, there's something I would actually love to talk about is sometimes a mentality around games in ministry. I've had someone, my degree is in youth ministry. And so I had a teacher, actually, he was talking to us and he's given us really good tips and pointers on running stuff for youth ministry, for the ministry. But one of the things he said, and essentially the whole heart behind the message was, hey, if you're running games in your youth ministry, you're wasting time for the ministry that you could be doing. And I was surprised by that, and I was curious by that and wondering, is this valid? Is this true? Should I get rid of all the games in my ministry and the stuff that I'm doing because we should be reading the Bible and not wasting it with Capture the Flag? And so I spent some time thinking about it and wondering about it. And I've actually heard this bounced around a few different times by a few different people, sometimes from people within my own church and other times other ministries, of this idea of, hey, let's not waste time with games. And as I thought more about it, it made me more and more sad to realize that, because I realized that the people that take that approach for ministry, sure, you can do that. You need to assess your own ministry context. But I noticed that it puts more of a burden on those groups because they have to start even further back in the relation building than if you were to use ministry or games for ministry. They had to start in a whole, like, way further back, because the moment you get rid of games, you get rid of this really useful tool that can be used for building the relationships, for building trust. And with trust, then all of a sudden you've got space for conversation. And we know the enemy uses every tool in his arsenal to get these kids away from Christ, to distract them, to draw them away. And currently, especially you look at video games and everything, that is a large part of the arsenal that he uses to pull kids away, to distract them. So why don't we flip that narrative around, flip that script, and use them for kingdom building, for building trust, for having them draw together? And you can be intentional with the games and how they flow, and even add a message behind them, right? Like I love coming up with games where the whole narrative is a gospel narrative to the story, right? And the kids play the game, they have a ton of fun, and then they're like thinking about it, and they're like, oh, I could see how this story is actually a reflection of how God loves us, or whatever way you want to do it. And games offer so much too, even like not only the trust building, but how kids can look at the leaders playing the games and the example the leaders set, right? I played on a volleyball team in grade 8 in high school for half the school year before I left, because I personally hated how the team treated me, how the team was negative when I messed up, how the team would constantly push you aside if you weren't good enough. And then coming into youth ministry, going to youth group, I loved those games. I loved playing volleyball. I loved the different sports because the leaders in the group, they lifted you up if you messed down. They'd say stuff like, hey, good job. We're proud of you. Keep at it. And the kids who play your games, the kids who play the games at camp, they're watching the leaders. If the leaders are angry and accusing others of cheating, they'll notice. If the leaders are encouraging and drawing those kids on the sidelines in, they notice that too. And so games not only build the trust, but they also give a place where you can set examples of good sportsmanship, of honesty, of integrity, of how you can react if your team doesn't do too well. And so for those that say, don't use games for the ministry, it just means they've got an extra burden of work that they need to work on, when in reality, it's such a useful tool for the kingdom of God.
That's a beautiful word, and probably a great spot to stop. I know for youth workers that want to go a little further and think about this even more, we've got games and play kind of baked into the 4 core essentials that we think every youth worker should be about. Engage and pray, guide and play, and so I'll link those in the show notes as well. And then we'll jump into another conversation next week to continue with this idea, and youth workers bring you hopefully lots more resources to kind of think through this particular element that plays into so many of our ministries. So Tate, thanks so much for your faithfulness and the way that you're leading both at Camp Qwanoes and then in your local context as a youth pastor. Thanks for sharing with us today and giving us new ideas. If people wanted to come hang out and to play Minecraft, as they're listening to this, it'll be for next summer. But why don't you fill people in at one of the cool things that you guys have got going on at Qwanoes before I let you go, that youth workers should know, in particular for their students, graduating students. Tell them about Kaleo.
Kaleo. Love Kaleo. I did Kaleo in 2019, 2020. Amazing leadership program that Qwanoes runs, fully accredited through Briarcrest too, which is a neat way to get a start in college. A small community of roughly 20 to 27, 30 students get together, live at summer camp for the whole year. How cool is that? But then not only that, do all sorts of leadership programs like, they've got serving around town. They do missions trips international. And they do activities as well. They hike a mountain. They go sailing. They've got all this neat stuff. And they've got top-notch professors coming in and teaching all the different ministry classes and stuff too. I love it. I would recommend it to any student looking at what to do next year. Even if they're not looking at doing ministry in the future, Briarcrest is really good with their accreditation. And so I know a lot of the credits carry on into other schools as well. So great option for anyone looking for posts.
It's absolutely brilliant. It falls into the category probably of like a gap year, but it is, I would say, the best option that you've got out there. And although I've never done it, a lot of my favorite people have gone through and have great things to say about it. So appreciate it, Tate. Any last words of wisdom before we let all these youth workers go?
No, I think that's good. Keep on serving the Lord. Keep on being creative. Creativity is a great gift God has given us to do his ministry, and I would love to see it being used more and more in ministry contexts. So, yeah, embrace it.
Amen to that. Thanks for making an eternal difference, folks, and we'll see you next time on the Volunteer Youth Worker Podcast.